Okay, welcome back to Houston Life. Listen, stress and anxiety are things many of us deal with regularly, and if it has felt more intense lately, you are totally not alone.
Yeah, it's so true. Studies show that 3/4 of Americans have been stressed before, during, and after the election, and that is already on top of work, family, general life stress. So we called in the big guns today, and the holidays are coming too. That's also a stressful time for people.
Sure.
Here to help us navigate through it all, licensed psychotherapist Karen Winston. Karen, welcome to Houston Life. It's so nice to see you.
Happy to be with you guys.
And we
How
should
we
point
doing?
out, you're also stressed. You're also
Totally.
human.
Absolutely.
You've been practicing for 32 years. You've worked for the Texans. I mean, your credentials are solid. And so I know a lot of people come to you for advice. Selfishly, that's why Tessa and I invited you today, because we want some free therapy. But it seems like there has been a breakdown of the way people communicate. And a lot of ugliness has circulated on social media. People feel isolated. But when you and I have chatted about this, you have told me that people are not hearable. What do you mean by that? How do you start a difficult conversation and help avoid conflict?
So one of the most important things when we start talking about something that really is kind of maybe edgy, like we don't know if the conversation's going to go well, we have to, first thing is watch our tone and how do we start up. So if I said to you, you know, you look really tired, it's not going to go well.
Right.
But if I want to talk to you about how worried I am about you're not sleeping very much, that would be a very different way to start and say, hey, I've got something I'm really concerned about with you. So the tone and the startup, we want to hear ourselves and we want to watch how the other person responds. So when I said, hey, you look tired, your body went like,
Right.
we need to just really pay attention because it can make the difference between a conversation going well, particularly around the political area, you know, that people are still talking about this. They will be at Thanksgiving and Christmas. If we want to talk about it, how do we? Or anything that's a little dicey.
I've been saying it's the elephant in the room right now. It's the elephant in all rooms right now, but it's so important that we take it seriously. We take our mental health seriously. Can you tell people why? Because I think sometimes still it's so weird that mental health can still be this this subject that people aren't really sure if it's taboo for a lot of people.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's get clear. We all have mental health.
Right.
Some more healthy than others at different times in our life. So it's not like it's, oh, that person has an issue.
Right.
We all at times have issues. And so if we can normalize it and just say there's degrees at different times, that helps us not see people as different, ill, not ill, less than.
Weak. Some people say that's a weakness, and it's like, no, it's you know,
it's living.
It's
being
normal,
human.
right? Completely.
Well, you know, if we think we're going to be one way every day and have one kind of thought pattern and one way of behaving, then we're probably numb.
Right.
You know, we only have problems if we're breathing.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really interesting point because every day is different, right? Every day presents
Yes.
us with a different set of challenges, of obstacles. Are you saying it's okay to have hard days? It's okay to feel not okay?
It's not even okay. It's an is.
It's an is.
It's an is.
It's part of being human.
It's part of breathing. So it's not like it's right, wrong, good, bad. I mean, in my practice, my private practice, all the time I hear people go, oh, I just didn't get it right, or I'm not a good enough, fill in the blank, mother, father, partner, employee. And it's like what we say to ourselves is sometimes a put down that it makes us feel even worse about ourselves when we can just say, you know, I wasn't my best self today. I wasn't best with my kids, or I wasn't best with my employer or my friend. I spoke to them in a snarky way. Okay, apologize if you need to apologize, but this is just being a human.
Right,
you know?
right. I want to get back to the political conversation, the dreaded political conversation, because it was such, I mean, it was all over the news, biggest election, huge election year, lots at stake for both sides. Is this something we should be avoiding altogether? Do we need to avoid political conversations, or how should we approach them?
That's a really good question. So I'm going to try to make this succinct because for me, this is kind of something I'm really talking to a lot of my patients about and friends. I think when you avoid a conversation, you don't feel safe to have it with someone. Let that be your guide. Why don't I feel safe? So if you and I are going to lunch, and I know we voted differently, but I want to talk about it because you're my good friend, do I feel like I can do that without you putting me down for my vote or me putting you down?
Or someone shutting down.
shutting
That's a
down.
fear because that's your friend. You care about them. But if you can't see eye to eye, I mean, how do you approach that?
Well, I think what you have to do is watch your tone and watch your startup and just say, you know, I know we're on different sides. So you try to say something neutral and inclusive, right? Can we talk about how we got here? Can we talk about our different points of views and see what happens? You know, and if it gets uncomfortable, someone gets defensive, gets angry, you know, kind of raises their voice, then have in your hip pocket some phrase that makes you know you've got an out, like, you know, I don't feel comfortable right now, or this just isn't going how I hope. Can we talk about this later? Mm-hmm. So have a way to stop it, but not going, I'm done. I'm not talking to you. You always, you never, you know, you can't, you won't. That won't go well. So just have that phrase with you.
It's such a good idea, sort of know what you're going to say in case things do get
Goes
too heated.
south.
Karen, let me ask you this though.
Yeah.
Going to lunch with a friend, someone you love and adore, and you want to be around is very different than going home to the holidays and being with an annoying uncle or family member who likes to poke, who likes to stir the pot, and who maybe feels fired up and like this is their moment to just teach everybody the way the world works.
Yeah.
How do we avoid those situations? Do we avoid
just
them
avoid it
entirely? Do you
altogether?
not
Right.
go? Do you sit in silence in the room and just let people be uncomfortable?
No.
Because that's out there too. I mean, there are a lot of people out there
There's
who
a
enjoy
lot.
being mean.
So decide before you go if you know. Have your strategy. So Uncle George is going to poke and try to poke the bear and get everyone riled up because that's what he does. You decide, do I take the bait and for what end? What's going to happen? Because George is not interested in your point of view.
No, you're not going to change his mind.
And he's not interested. He's just telling you what you did wrong.
Right.
And telling you how you did, you know, voted or didn't vote or what you know, what he doesn't like about you. So the point is, what does he want you to know, right? Think about that. What does Uncle George, when he's poking the bear, hope you'll know? That he's large and in charge. So you just decide, do I put up with him and go? Do I care if he thinks he's large and in charge? And is there any point in engaging? Those are your questions.
Okay, Uncle George, we get it. You're right. Now, can we all have some pie and you can shut up? Okay, we're gonna take a quick break. Sometimes I say what I'm thinking, but I'm learning.
But
to
look,
just
if you want to do that, just be ready.
be ready.
I'm not saying not to, but I'm just saying if you know that person is probably going to be around, have your plan.
Have a plan. Okay.
Have a plan.
Licensed therapist Karen Winston. We're going to take a quick break, and Houston Life will be right back. Welcome back to Houston Life. If you're just joining us, we have been chatting with licensed psychotherapist Karen Winston about how to handle the stress and anxiety of just being a human.
Being a Right. human.
And that already makes me feel better, knowing that we're not alone. Karen, you and I were chatting a couple days ago. You said something to me that I'm never going to forget. You said, take a piece of paper and a pencil and write down everything that's worrying you right now.
Yeah.
And then what? What do you do with that paper?
So here's my suggestion. So many people are worried after the election specifically that certain things will happen to our country, to our community, to our friends. Write those down very concretely, very directly, and share them with somebody. And you switch list. And here's what I thought. I told everyone, take that list and in 1 year, date it, you all get back together and say, did any of this really happen? Because some of the fears are so huge. People are talking about, oh, I'm moving, or I'm leaving the state, or leaving the country. Let's slow down and say, look, we don't know really what's going to happen. We don't know if the events are going to be catastrophic that you're worried about, or be so detrimental to your life or lifestyle. Let's slow down, write them down, and share.
Wow.
It's very, very powerful. And sorry to jump in with another follow-up here. You also were differentiating between thoughts and facts. Thoughts are not facts. Just because we think something, oh, I think I'm going to lose all my money.
No.
That's not a fact. It may be a fear, but that even though that's not a fact,
That's
that
right.
doesn't change that the
That's
fear
right.
that people are feeling is real.
That's
Right.
right.
So how do we navigate through that?
Do what you said, just what you said. Thoughts are not facts. So when we recognize, if I said, I know you don't like me, and I kind of come at you and I'm going, treating you in a way that I would treat someone if I didn't think they liked me, you're going, what is going on? That doesn't mean, just because I think it, or if I think you love me, doesn't mean it's true. So we have to be clear to distinguish between a thought. It's all it is. That's all it is.
Yeah. It's a good reminder. What's another good reminder for people that have been in this space of maybe they are just feeling like I feel like it's a loss of control that really scares people.
You bet.
What is a good piece of advice for people who are feeling maybe hopeless?
Yeah. Well, number one, we all like to be in control. Let's get clear. We feel safer.
Right.
There are things we can control. We can control our behavior. We can control our thoughts. And you go, oh no, I can't control my thoughts. They're wild, they're going everywhere, I'm ruminating. Well, there's help for that from a therapist that can really help calm your thoughts. You can go online and look at all the breathing techniques. It's very hard for people to slow down and get their heart rate down and stop their thinking from going round and round. But if you breathe right, I mean, really, again, there's lots of tools out there, YouTube, it can really calm you down and help you. There's really ways to think about controlling your breathing, controlling your thoughts, controlling your behavior, right? We can control that. And if you can't, that may be the time to reach out for some help. If you're saying, my thoughts are just relentless in ways that aren't helpful to me, or my eating's out of control and it's just, I can't control it, or the way I'm behaving towards people, people don't want to be around me anymore. That may be a time to say, you know what, I need to think about this with someone.
Wow. Yeah, I know a lot of people can probably relate to that. I think that maybe one of the silver linings of the stress that a lot of people are feeling, and I'm not an expert, Karen, I know you are, but it forces us to sort of step back and reevaluate our situation, our relationships, the people in our lives to whom we can speak, people we trust, maybe people who we can't trust.
Yeah.
Your advice is that we need to be surrounding ourselves with people we can share our feelings openly and honestly with. And we even saw during the election spouses who were encouraged not to tell each other. I mean, if you don't feel safe enough to share with your spouse who you're voting for or what matters to you, is that part of a bigger conversation that you need to be having with yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I think that if you feel intimidated or afraid or shut down by someone you're living with, and you can't discuss what your voting preference is, I think it's time to really think about, with your partner, hopefully, what's going on with us that I can't have my own point of view, my own voice? Why is that so intimidating for you?
It's a big question that I think a lot of people are reevaluating or need to think about if you're not in a safe space in your living situation. Okay, what are your final thoughts? Because I wish we had more time. Unfortunately, we don't. What are your final thoughts on people in this season?
In the season, in terms of just managing stress?
Yes, managing stress, the holidays, politics, all of it.
So I'm going to go to the segment before session. Of course, therapists would say that. You were talking about saying no. You two were. And I want to say no's a complete sentence.
Oh.
So remember that. Also, that the season, from my point of view, gets going so fast. Like you hit Halloween, and then it's New Year's.
Yeah.
Right.
So try to think about what matters to you, how you pace yourself, because people get frazzled, frantic, overspend, overdrink, over-socialize, like there's so much over. I think the best thing to do to manage stress is, one, manage yourself and your time. Two, be prepared when you're going into the situation we talked about earlier, where you may be around someone that's going to try to trigger you. be prepared with how you're going to manage, what you're going to say. Are you going for a short time? Oh, I'd love to come. I can only stay, an hour, but I'd love to be there. That you can control.
Setting those boundaries.
Setting those boundaries.
Karen Winston, thank you so much for stopping by. I wish we had more time, but
you.
this has been very helpful. So please come back and see us again.
My pleasure.
We would love that.
Good to see you guys.
Well,
Thank
you
you.
too. And in the meantime, you can visit our website, HoustonLife.tv, to connect with Karen Winston.
And remember, no is a complete sentence.
A complete sentence.
We'll be right back.